Right, hi guys, and welcome back to the Cruel Corner. We're here once again in this wonderful ranty corner for all things Formula E, and a massive apologies that this video is so late. To give you some kind of background, I have been pretty much on tour with a band called the Lotterer Winners, who I absolutely love and adore, throughout most of April. And then their album got to #1, so I was invited to a #1 album party. Got very drunk at that. Basically was intoxicated and hungover for about 2 days. Then I was ill, and now we're here. So that's pretty much how my life's been for April. I've hardly seen anything of it. I've had to catch up with the racing all the time, and yeah, it's just been an absolute whirlwind, so to speak. But yeah, life has got in the way, but for all the right reasons, really, and I wouldn't change it for the world. And I'm sure you guys appreciate this video being a little bit late while I go out and enjoy myself. I know, you know, there's bigger things to life than just YouTube, but I do massively appreciate your support. There's been a few people asking when this video is coming out, and I was like saying, yeah, tomorrow, buddy, tomorrow, and then tomorrow never happened, and then we're finally here anyway. Almost a week late, but we made it. So if you've never seen this series before, I award the drivers out of a maximum of 10 points based on their race weekend's performance, and I go all the way down to 0 if they have a particularly bad one. Look out for bonus points though. They're sometimes an offer for some drivers that do something extra special during a race, and on the rare occasion, although it's become more and more common this season, I do award minus points to those drivers that do something extra special, but for all the wrong reasons. So let's take a look at the current Formula E Cruel Corner standings then. They're on the screen now for you to take a look at. And yeah, it's tight at the top and very lonely down at the bottom. We saw our first disqualification for Andre Lotterer, didn't we, last time out? So it'd be interesting to see if anyone else joins that tally, an unfortunate tally of being disqualified. I think there's one driver that's on the chopping block, and if you've been watching this series, you'll know who that will be. But all that will come in a moment, because we're going to kick things off with the race winner, of course, Nick Cassidy. Nick Cassidy. Wow, oh wow, what a season he is having. It's sensational this season. He's doing some incredible drives. He's driving phenomenally well, isn't it? He really is. He is doing fantastic. Yeah, I cannot fault one single thing he's done this weekend. This championship challenge and charge has come while Verline's struggling, Jake Dennis is struggling, and he's just been picking up the podiums relentlessly, and then 2 victories in a row. It's just incredible, isn't it? So yeah, Nick Cassidy, just to win at Monaco as well, it's a sensational feeling for him, and he drove so well to get himself there, didn't it? It's just perfect harmony between himself and the car. And I was singing Bohemia's praises at the start of the season in that Envision. He was doing some really cool drives in that car then, and while Nick just had that little bit of off race here and there. But then since then, the momentum has fully switched to the other side of the garage in that Envision squad, and it's Cassidy all the way now. And honestly, I would love to see him wrap up the title. Such a likeable character, a great bloke. You know, he's worked so hard. So have Envision as well. You know, they have been in this sport for a long time. And, you know, they've always just been the nearly team, haven't they? Never quite doing it. So it would be wonderful to see. And for this weekend overall, absolutely faultless. Yeah, the qualifying's not always there with Cassidy, but he makes up for it in the race, you know. And the thing is with Formula E, the qualifying can be so erratic at times with which session you're out in, whether you can get the good lap in, whether you get traffic or not. We know what Formula E is like with the tight street circuits that they always race at. And sometimes it's never a full true reflection, but that is what adds to the nature of the craziness of the sport. So I'm all for an anomaly in qualifying here and there. And some teams are better at one lap pace, some teams are better at the race pace. Envision have got that race pace absolutely nailed, haven't they? They really have. So for Nick Cassidy, it's none less than 12 points. It has to be. It has to be. He is driving so well. And this weekend, again, was impeccable. Absolutely perfect. Spot on. A triple overtake round the casino hairpin as well. Let's not forget that. I've got to mention that before I move on. A fantastic round the outside of a Mahindra, a Jaguar and a Maserati, wasn't it? It was just incredible. He's just driven perfectly. It's 12 points to Nick Cassidy. Next up we come to Mitch Evans in the Jaguar, and his season, a bit like Cassidy's, little bit of a rocky start. We had the incident with his Sam Bird taking him out at the Indian E-Prix. We've had, you know, some drama here and there, but since, what was it, about 4 or 5 rounds ago, his momentum's just gone like that as well. Not to the extent that Cassidy's has, but he's put himself in championship contention somewhat. 4th in the standings now, I believe. There's a bit of a margin between the top 3 and then Evans, but the way that the other 2 are carrying on, with Dennis and Verline not really doing much most of the time these days now, you know, I think that he could easily leapfrog those. And Nick Cassidy's luck is going to run out at some point, and, you know, the performance isn't going to be there from Envision all the time this season. So maybe if the Jaguar team can capitalise on that, because Jaguar seems the overall better package, more consistent, I think things could happen. So yeah, fingers crossed. And Mitch again is another wonderful bloke I would love to see win the title this season. I really, really would. Again, been the nearly man on a couple of occasions now, and taken out due to faults not his own as well at championship deciders. So another one that'd be worthy of it. 2nd place, he was hindered by the safety car finish, wasn't he? I think that must be said. He also sustained a little bit of damage as well, didn't he, whilst making his way through the field. So yeah, overall for Mitch Evans though, it's not a criticism at all. I just think that Cassidy, again, has just blown everyone else out of the water. So for Mitch Evans, it's going to be 9 points on the cruel corner to him. I really, really think he deserves that solid 9. And like I said, the reason why I'm not giving him a perfect 10 is because Nick Cassidy is just blowing everyone else away. He really, really is. Probably singing his praises a bit too much. He'll have a shit weekend now. But, you know, for now, Mitch Evans, 9 points. Bravo. Bravo. Next up, it is Jake Dennis in the Andretti. Good to see him back on the podium once again. We've had that lull period, haven't we, for quite a while, but he's back again on the podium at Monaco and securing 3rd place. Finally, some good points again. Yeah, been a long time coming, hasn't it? It seems ages ago since we had that runaway start to the season by both him and Verline, and how the season has fluctuated so much. But such is the nature of Formula E, it's happened once again. But Dennis is still very much within touching distance, and I wouldn't rule him out. Again, there's not really anyone I hate in Formula E, so this is another driver I would love to see win the championship. I really, really would. Again, a nearly man in Berlin a couple of seasons ago, but he had a brake-by-wire failure and stuffed it into the wall while he was in championship winning contention. So yeah, again, it's just one of those things, isn't it? That's racing. But here now, again, a solid weekend, picking up points, podium, fantastic effort. Jake Dennis, well done to him. It's going to be 9 points to him as well. Well done, Patchin Evans with that score. Really, really well done, Jake. I am pleased for you. 9 points to Jake Dennis. In 4th place, we come to Sasha Fenestras. He had the pole lap time, but then it was taken away for overuse, didn't it? So started in 2nd place, but not to be sniffed at. Once again, Fenestras proving that he has the potential to be Formula E material, Formula E Championship material in the not too distant future. A stunning drive to finish P4 in that Nissan. Both Nissans were up there. They've been a little bit lonely the last couple of races, and I was always saying, look, Nissan have these off weekends. They're a bit like a Haas in Formula 1. You know, some days they'll be really good, some days they'll be really bad. No fault of the drivers, it's just the team not getting it together or the car just not suiting that circuit. Thankfully for Fenestras though, the car suited Monaco and he drove really well in qualifying. Great in the race. It was damage limitation. We really didn't expect him to finish this high up, did we? We was always expecting the higher chargers to come through, fight their way through the field, like 3 of them did. But Fenestras held his own and secured 4th place. Some well-earned points there, just off the podium. It'd be nice to see him on the podium, wouldn't it? But for Sasha Fenestras, a rookie around Monaco, it's a worthy full 10 points. It's got to be a stunning lap in qualifying. Yeah, power overuse, but it's negligible. That wouldn't have made any difference to the lap time. That pole lap time was pole, you know. But still, nonetheless, starting 2nd, finishing 4th in a car that's not as good as everyone else around him, but it had a better weekend overall, and Fenestras really extracted the maximum out of it. A full 10 points to him. Bravo, Sasha. In 5th place, we come to the eventual pole man of Jake Hughes, of course. Yeah, so he got into the final head-to-head, started 2nd, or thought he was starting 2nd, elevated to pole position, and yeah, he deserved it, didn't he really, Jake? Again, a bit like the Nissans has been. McLaren have been very vacant the last few races. Silly incidents and accidents caught up in the Tinktum and Vandoorne shunt at Berlin, didn't he, did Jake? Coming away from that double-header with hardly no points, if no points at all, really, did there? So yeah, it's been a long time coming for Jake to have a solid result, and here he is finishing in 5th place, 10 points on the board. It's a good effort. From pole position again, like I said, We were always expecting the hard charges to come through the field. That they did. But Jake Hughes has really held his own to finish in 5th place. So I'm going to award him 8 points. And the reason why I'm awarding him 8 points is because he finished behind Fenestras, the other rookie, and he had the grid advantage with him. You know, Jake starting first, Fenestras second. If they'd have been 4th and 5th, I'd have maybe switched the points around. But, you know, Fenestras just had the better weekend overall for me, and that's what swayed it. But again, no disrespect to Jake Hughes whatsoever. A fantastic race overall. Some big points at last again for McLaren, and it's a solid 8 points to Jake Hughes. And then we come to Dick Tantrum. He had such a great start to this season. I was saying how mature he seemed and how everything was going so well. And then he goes and takes 2 cars out of this race again and has no fucking penalty. What's going on? So we had the silly incident with Vandoorne, as already mentioned, at Berlin, which was Tinktum's fault, but, you know, things happen, mistakes happen. And then here we are at Monaco. He slams into the back of Norman Natto and gives him a puncture. Ruins Natto's race completely while he was up in around 4th, 5th place. It was just behind Sasha, weren't they? Because both those cars had good qualifyings. And then he does that late manoeuvre going up the hill after turn 1 on Max Gunter, where he just chops him. And Max Gunter hits him and then slides and then, like, just unbelievable. So yeah, Gunter ends up hitting the wall, breaking his rear suspension. Max Gunter out. For the first time this season, Max Gunter out of the race due to no fault of his own. Bless him. You know, he's gone from hero to zero, but it wasn't Max's fault this time. It was Dick Tantrum fucking shoveling his way over. Like, yeah, it was so unfortunate that was so unfortunate for Max, and it was all fully to blame on Dick Tantrum. I'm sorry, but it has to be. I just cannot believe it. I just cannot believe it. Just frustrating. 2 cars he took out there and no penalty. Unbelievable stuff. So yeah, for Dick Tantrum, it's -5. -5 on the cruel corner to him because yeah, he's taking cars out again. He's gone back to his old self again now of not keeping his cool, losing his head, and here he is finishing 6th place. Great effort, but you killed 2 cars in doing so. He'd have still finished 8th. He had them cars finished ahead of you, so yeah. Yeah, took 2 cars out, got no penalty. I don't think that's fair at all. But yeah, -5 for me on the cruel corner, and he's slipping down that championship table rather rapidly in my eyes because he started off so strong. He's going downhill now. -5 to Dan Tinktum. Then we come to JeanEric Vergne finishing in 7th place, and on paper doesn't look like a good result, but it really was because both of the DS Penske cars were disqualified after qualifying due to a technical infringement, not the driver's fault, and they had to start at the back of the grid. So to work your way up from the back of the grid up to 7th place, that's a fantastic effort by JeanEric Vergne. I can't really remember how it all happened. You know how Formula E gets. Once you get down the lower end of the pack, you just see these places going up and down, up and down, up and down, and you're not really watching the televised viewing of it because you're too busy watching the leaders fighting. So yeah, but all we know is he started last and he finished 7th. It's a fantastic effort for JeanEric Vergne, isn't it? But probably disappointed, really. You think, yeah, 7th place, good recovery. But if he had that pace and that ability to gain that many places, where could he have been had he started higher up the field? Could he have been knocking on the door of a podium? I think so. Easily. I think anything less than a podium would have been disappointing. But as it was, started at the back of the grid, that's racing, carved his way up through 7th. Perfect result, and it's 8 points to JeanEric Vergne. Probably harsh by a point or 2 there, but, you know, I think a solid 8 is probably how Vergne had rated his weekend overall. All came undone after qualifying, as mentioned, no fault of his own for that, of course. But yeah, solid charge through the field and a good effort. 8 points to JeanEric Vergne. Then we come to Sebastian Bohemia, Nick Cassidy's teammate. So while his teammates winning, podium, it seems to have come a little bit unhinged for Bohemia, doesn't it? And here he is finishing in 8th place. So yeah, again, you know, at least it's points, and it's good points for Envision as well. Both cars inside the top 10 regularly, but just one getting the glory results, one just picking up a few points here and there. But for Sebastian Bohemia, it's okay, isn't it? Nothing special. So I'm going to give him a solid 6, and I think that's fair, because that's 6 less than I scored Cassidy, and I think that's more than respectable between where they both finished. That's how I've based that result on, thinking, well, if Cassidy deserves 12, does Bohemia really deserve any more than half of that score? No, but he does deserve half of it. So yeah, a solid 6 to Sebastian Bohemia for that effort. It's good points, you know, a few points picked up, fair enough. but it'd have been better if it had been inside the top 5, wouldn't it? That's where your big points are, inside that top 5. And Envision need every point they can, because not only are they fighting for the drivers, they're fighting for the constructors as well. And yeah, while Bohemia is doing a better job than some second drivers in other cars, we'll come to them in a minute, at least he's picking up a few points, but it'd be nice to see him a bit better up and a bit further up the field. So yeah, a solid 6 to Bohemia. Then we come to Stoffel Vandoorne picking up a couple of points, and like his teammate, had started at the back and worked his way up to 9th. So just a couple of places behind his teammate in the end. I don't think that's any disrespect at all towards Vandoorne there. Finishing 2 places behind your teammate after you both started at the back. That's racing, that's just the way you take your attack modes. You're not going to exactly make your way all the way up through the field together. So the fact that he finished 9th, I think again it'll be a bit like Vergne. He'll look at it as a positive that at least I recovered a couple of points, but where could I have been had I been further up the field? And yeah, DS Penske really, bit of a shame that they had this issue, but that is racing, as I've said before. So for Stoffel Vandoorne, I'm not going to give him the same points as Vergne, but I am going to give him 7.5. That's probably one of the better drives we've seen from Vandoorne, because he's closer to his teammate than he has been previously. You know, Vergne's been on the pole position, he's been getting podiums, he's been inside the top 5, while Vandoorne's just been scraping a point or 2 every now and again for the last few races and not really delivering the big points. But this time around, a couple of points is a lot better than what it could have been, so fair play to Vandoorne for that. 7.5 to him. Last of the points finishers, we come to Pascal Verline, picking up just 1 point, and here we go. The championship swing has gone well into Cassidy's favour now, hasn't it? From a 4-point deficit to a 20-point advantage. That is how massively this has swung. When at one stage, you know, Verline was 50 points ahead of Cassidy or something daft like that. It was really, really crazy at one point. So, yeah, the swing has gone well into Envision and Cassidy's favour. Verline just couldn't make any progress through the field. He was qualified mid-pack and then finished 10th. That's it. Can't really say much more than that. It's 3 points, and that's a generous 3, really. The car has surely got the ability to do better than that, but other cars made progress around him, got past him, got through him. The 2 DS Penske's, of course, the big notable mentions. He's finishing 10th, lucky to pick a point up. It's 3 points to Verline. Then we come to Eduardo Mortara, and that's it. I've finished with him. He's disqualified. I cannot deal with it anymore. I'm sorry. Crashing into the back of Max Gunter, taking his own front wing off, almost taking his own teammate out. Dick Tantrum sorted that out for you later, buddy. Don't worry about that. But Gunter was lucky to escape that incident, and that was all on Mortara. Again, inside the points, running inside the top 7. Like, just fucking finish, will ya? Just get some points on the pissing board, but no, no, no. We have to throw it all away, don't we? Again. So yeah, I'm finished with Mortara. I mean, the fact he recovered to this position was quite, like, ridiculous, really, because I think he had to pit for the wing, or did he just drive around without it? I can't remember. Either way, I'm not interested. He's qualified anyway. And this driver that I had so much hope for going into this season after he's been done so well in the previous couple of seasons, you know, been in championship contention, been doing really well. And this year it has just all come undone for him. We've not seen anything of the sorts of what we used to seeing from Mortara. And you think, well, he's allowed 1 bad race. Oh, well, we'll let him off with 2. He's been quite consistent in previous years. Oh, 3's a bit much now. Oh, 4's quite a lot. Oh, fucking hell. Stop it now. Just stop it. And he just keeps crashing, keeps making errors, keeps costing himself and the team major points. What more can I do? It's a disqualification for Eduardo Mortara. Then we come to Lucas Degrassi finishing in 12th place. Unlucky for Lucas just to miss out on the points there, but that Mahindra once again, no real pace, no real, you know, advantage. But finishing around the points is still a good effort for Degrassi. It really, really is. And I hope they can scrape into the points more times as the season goes on, but it's going to be a stretch from here, isn't it, really? It really does put into perspective how great that Mexico race was for him, because that was the highlight of the season, and unfortunately gave us all a bit of a false hope for what was to come, and unfortunately they just tumbled down the back of the grid. So for Lucas Degrassi finishing in 12th place, it's 7 points to him, a solid 7 for that. Qualifying, wherever he qualifies, it's probably better than what it should be, because so long as it's not last, it's alright, isn't it? And then in the race, he's in and around the points. He puts himself in a position where if anything goes wrong, he can get points, but this time around just wasn't to be. So yeah, 7 to Degrassi. Then we come to Robin Freitz, finishing in unlucky 13th place. And for Robin, it's going to be a solid 6. The powertrain in the Mahindra, same as the Apt. The Apt car looks worse. It does, doesn't it? It really does. It does look like the worst car on the grid. But overall this weekend, Muller had the better race, didn't he? We'll come to Nico Muller in a second, of course. But yeah, this weekend overall for Robin Freitz has been solid, but nothing special, and that's why it has to be a solid 6 for his performance this weekend. But yeah, nice to see him close to the points, but not as close as what his teammate was at certain stages of that race. Yeah, solid 6 to Robin. Then we come to Sergio Sette Camera, and once again this weekend, absolutely P nowhere, always at the back. You know, Dick Tantrum scored a few points there. Should he have been penalised? Yes, he probably should have done, but I'm happy for the team that they scored points. Yes, absolutely, I love Neo, and it's good to see him doing well this season. But apart from that 5th place that we saw earlier on in the season for Sette Camera, he's been nowhere, has he really? He's been at the back, outside the points, not even having a good qualifying either, not making any progress through the field. He's just always outside the points. So it's a generous 2 points to Sette Camera. That's a generous 2. And if this backmarker antics keep up, unfortunately, I'm going to have to start going down the other way and awarding minus points because, yeah, you know, Dick, as much as he's driving like a Dick, he is still delivering the points and having the better qualifying performances and delivering the results. So, yeah, Sette Camera, a lonely race, 2 points. Antonio Felix da Costa, and he didn't really do much better than his teammate, did he? I'm afraid to say. Okay, Verline inherited a point, but da Costa, again, just 2 points. It's nothing, is it? Nothing special again by the Porsche team this weekend. And yeah, you could say they're having an off weekend, but the car should still be more than capable to deliver some solid results. So, 2 points to da Costa. Then we come to Sam Bird. Oh dear, finished 10th on the road, but had a, was it 10-second time penalty or something for taking out Nico Muller. Oh, I felt so sorry for Nico Muller in that situation. I really did. People said, oh, it was just a racing incident, that, but Nico Muller was fairly already close to the rumble strip of like, I've got the inside of this corner, mate, I'm defending. And Bird was there, and he was like, yeah, well, I'm going to use all this curb and a bit more and just shove you straight off into the wall. It was such a shame, like, for fuck's sake, Sam, you've had such a good start to the, you know, a good recovery, this patch. These last couple of races have been great for your podiums, you've been picking up solid points, and then you do this. You take out an underdog that's on course for a point or two, and then by that, you end up finishing 10th and then penalise yourself and not even get that point. You know, needless, silly and stupid. So it's 0 to Sam Bird. And I'm also going to award him a final warning. And any more silly shenanigans and antics, he will be joining Lotterer and Mortara in the disqualified pile. Because I can't keep giving him sympathy. As much as I love Sam and I really want him to do well, he's done well for the last couple of races, which is fantastic to see. But then he's just incident prone again. To a car that really isn't in his championship fight. It isn't in anything. Just like, wait, just get round him. He was running out of energy, was Nico Muller. You know, he was doing well on energy, but not as well as the cars around him. He could have literally just lifted off a lot later than Muller and got round him at a better corner, but instead lost his head, dove it up the inside of turn 1 when Muller already had that turn 1 covered, bounced over the rumble strip, ploughed him straight into the wall. Unacceptable. So yeah, 0 to Sam Bird. Then we come to Rene Rast. I can't remember if it was a retirement or not, but either way, he needed a wing, didn't he? He had contact with Lotterer that sent Lotterer out of the race. Who do I blame there? I would put that down to a racing incident, actually. But yeah, not good for Rast to be down here again, is it? Again, his season's come undone. His early stages of the season were the best it got, and then he's gone downhill rapidly as well. The car's not been always the good car, though, has it? It must be honest. It's not always been Rast's fault. But this race, nothing again. Nothing. And Jake's up there finishing inside the top 5 and getting a pole position. So, yeah, Rene Rast, it's a 1. It's a 1 point to him, and that's all he's getting. So I really hope he books his ideas up for Jakarta. Up and coming, I think it is Jakarta anyway, in a couple of weeks' time. Probably just next week now. I've been that long since doing this video. But yeah, Rene Rast, come on, Rene. Get your ideas booked up, pal. Let's get some points again, will we? You know, stop being silly, stop breaking your wing, stop having damage, stop having silly incidents. Let's keep going. Let's get some good points on the board now going forward. So yeah, just 1 point for now though, to Rene Rast. Then we come to Norman Natto in the Nissan, all the ends. Norman Natto Nissan, there we go. And what could be said for Norman? Well, a big shame really. Qualifying was solid, you know, up there with his teammate, got into the head-to-heads. Did he qualify 4th in the end, I think? So Fenestras, you know, went for that pole lap. Obviously got relegated to 2nd, but quite evenly matched. You know, good effort by the Nissan squad there. He was running round just behind his teammate, and then Dick Tantrum ploughed it into the back of him, caused him to have a rear puncture, and ruined his race from there. Lucky to keep going, really, because at one point he did actually stop on the main straight thinking it was suspension damage, but the team told him no, drag it back down round to the pits. And such is the nature of Formula E, that could have worked. It could have been crazy, and he could have ended up back in the points, but it was that far behind. It just couldn't make anything of it, which was a big shame. So yeah, for Norman Natto, it's a maximum that I normally score a retirement. I can't remember if he retired or not. I think he did in the end, didn't he? But for Norman Natto, it's 5 points, middle of the road, 5 points to him for that effort. Because I can't do anything else. He was taken out, no fault of his own. His race was heavily compromised early on due to some knobhead. It's a middle of the road 5, unfortunately, and that's probably a little bit harsh, but there we go. 5-2 Norman Natto. Then we come to Ollie Roll, another one that was a hard charger at the start, making some cracking moves, some great overtakes, like, wow, come on, Ollie. And then at the chicane, he got his braking all wrong, smacked it into the back of Maserati, broke his front wing, drove across, cut the corner, his front wing fell off, had to pit, ruined his own race. You know, over exuberance. It worked well so many times, doing some great overtakes around the outside, up the inside. It was really looking impressive and looking like he was on for some solid points there. But he threw it all away by being a bit too overzealous at a point where he didn't really need to be. You know, he'd already made some significant ground up, got himself inside that top 10. Just bide your time from there, Ollie, but no. Blew it and threw it all away. So it's 2 points to Ollie Rowland. And yeah, that's as much as can be said. He was excited at the start, but he just threw it all away, didn't he? And that's a huge shame. Then we come to Maxi Gunter, and yeah, a retirement in this race, and what a shame for Max. It really is, because it's the first time it's not his fault. It's the first time it's not his fault. It was taken out by a Dick Tantrum there. He was pushed into the Armco. Suspension damage. A huge shame, and it brought the race to the end as well, didn't it? It was the Max Gunter incident that caused the safety car at the end that didn't restart the race, which was a great shame as well. So yeah, Max Gunter this weekend, I'm going to score him 4 out of the maximum of 5. I score a retirement, and I think that's very fair for his weekend overall. He was running around in a good position. He was going to pick up a few points, a few decent points there, but unfortunately wasn't to be, due to no fault of his own for the first time this season. But still, damage for Maserati. I do feel so sorry for that team, but as it is, Max Gunter, 4 points to him. Then we come to Nico Muller. Oh, Nico Muller, what a shame. What a shame. I can't believe it. I cannot believe it. He deserved a point or two there. He was driving like a trooper, wasn't he? Inside that 9th, 10th area. And then Sam Bird just dove it up the inside, lost his head, and took him out of the race. It was reminiscent of like a lot Hamilton and Maldonado incident back in 2011 at Monaco, wasn't it? You know, Maldonado had closed the door on Hamilton, but Hamilton was like, nah, fuck it, I'm still going straight into your side pod, pal. I'm taking you out of the race, you know. Big shame. But yeah, there we go. So it's going to be a middle of the row 5 to Nico Muller. That's the maximum I could score a retirement. I'd love to score him more. I'd have loved to have been singing his praises on that points finish, and I'd have loved to have been giving him bonus points, but unfortunately I can't. That's how it works. 5 points to Nico Muller. I am gutted. Absolutely gutted. And last but by no means least is of course Andre Lotterer, who was taken out of the race, but he's disqualified anyway. Again, poor qualifying. The race, he was trying to attack the Neo ahead, wasn't he? And then Rast came round the outside of him at the second to last corner. Then at the last corner, obviously the wall goes like that, so juts out. So as Rast was round the outside, he had to avoid the wall. Lotterer was there, tagged each other. Lotterer was spat off into the wall, broken suspension, and big shame, big damage once again. Lotterer, though, disqualified on the cruel corner, so I don't score him points anyway. But I would put that down to a racing incident. But once again, it's Lotterer getting involved in them, isn't it? You know, he's his luck's not there and his pace isn't there either. He shouldn't be down there to start with, and then when he is down there, he gets involved in silly incidents. So yeah, all just a bit of a shame. So there we have it then. Those were the runners and riders of the Monaco E-Prix. Let me know your thoughts and feedback down below. Did I score any drivers too high, any too low? The updated point standings after I've awarded these scores are on the screen now for you to take a look at. See where your favourite driver is. Have they climbed? Have they fallen? Let me know, as always, in the comments below. It'd be interesting to see your thoughts on some of the incidents that happened in that race. You know, should it have finished behind safety car? Should they have added a lap on earlier in the race as well? For that one lap they did for Norman Natto that did stop on track but then got going. You know, should they have really added a lap on there and then maybe we could have had a one lap dash? Who knows? But as always, keep the comments flowing in the comments section. A massive thanks as always go out to Dan of Mushy Gaming, formerly Mushy Gaming, just runs under Dan Bartlett now on his YouTube channel, for providing me with the updated scoreboards. As always, a massive thanks to him. Without this series will be more pointless than it already is. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Back to regular times now, I promise. This is it. Next time there's a Formula E race, the videos will be up on Monday at 5 and Tuesday at 5 for the double header. And if you watch the Cruel Room series as well for the Formula 1, those will be back to Tuesday at 6 PM, guaranteed for the next few months anyway. I think there's a week in July where there might be a bit of a delay because I'm at a festival all weekend. But apart from that, everything's good to go for quite a while, so don't worry about it, and always tune in at the regular times. I'm sorry they're late, but you know, please don't hate me for enjoying my life. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys, and as always, much love.